to a boiling point. Reports are out this hour that Republican leadership is considering throwing out the 1,500-page-long rule book used to select a party nominee for the 2016 presidential election. Party officials claim they would resort to that for, quote, simplicity and transparency. But others are pointing to a little-known rule that the party could simply erase, and by doing so, would keep Donald Trump off the November ballot. It's called Rule 40B. It was adopted, it's not that old. It's adopted in 2012 at the Republican National Convention. What does it say? It says that candidates must come in with a majority of delegates from at least 8 states before they can even be considered for the nomination. Well, that would likely exclude one of the 3 remaining candidates. That's Governor John Kasich, who may just go into the convention with the majority of just 1 state, his own. Rule 40B. Is it the anti-Trump establishment's last chance to influence the party nominee? Is it that so-called smoking gun? Well, Trump's team thinks so. Trump advisor Sam Clovis has said he would leave the Republican Party, quote, forever if the RNC alters those rules, signaling that Mr. Trump may be considering doing the same. So let's bring in former Republican governor from Nebraska, Dave Heineman, along with former Democratic governor from Missouri, Bob Holden, a state, by the way, I guess that's still waiting, Governor Holden, to hear who won that primary 2 days ago. Still too close to call on the Republican side. So welcome to you both.
Well, thank you very much.
Great to see you. Governor Holden, to you first. Your candidate, Hillary Clinton, whom you've endorsed, won on the Democratic side for the primary. But are you hearing anything on the Republican side?
Not too much. I mean, on the Republican side, they are still undecided on whether Cruz carried Missouri or Trump. They're fighting it out, as they will, I suspect, continue to fight out over the next several weeks.
Well, Governor Heineman, that's your party. And I'll tell you something. We're getting tweets and calls and emails and complaints from Trump supporters who feel that it would be extremely unfair, in fact, chicanery possibly, cheating, if the RNC decided to switch rules simply to keep Donald Trump from being that name called out on the convention floor. You have yet to endorse a candidate, so I'm assuming you're fair and balanced here. Let's go. What do you think of that potential change?
Well, Liz, let me talk directly about this issue. I've been watching for the last 7 months, and the fact of the matter is the Republican establishment and the Democratic establishment in Washington, D.C. is the problem. They haven't addressed the economy. They haven't addressed balancing the budget, trade, immigration, all these issues, and that's why Donald Trump has caught fire. He has 680 delegates right now. He has a 260 delegate vote lead over Senator Cruz. And the upcoming states, Arizona, Wisconsin, the Northeast, he is likely to win. His margin is going to expand, and it's time for the Republican establishment to understand Donald Trump is the likely nominee of this party. He's won it fair and square. That's who the people want. There are times he makes all of us uncomfortable, but the fact of the matter is he's addressing the economic issues that we care about, particularly jobs that we're losing because of trade policy to China, Japan, and Mexico. So I don't think there's going to be a contested convention. He's going to win it outright. By the time the end of May, early June, it'll be all over.
You ready to endorse him? You sound like you support him in certain ways.
In certain ways, I do, but, you know, the Nebraska primary is not till the 2nd week in May, so I haven't really taken sides. Okay. I've watched with great interest. There are a number of my good friends who've been involved in this race, but the fact of the matter is we've never seen a candidate like Donald Trump. He is a master of the television. He is a master of the social media, and he is connecting with the American people, and I might add, with a lot of Democrats when we talk about jobs and trade.
Well, if you believe in the polls, he's not beating the front runner on the Democratic side, and that's Hillary Clinton. Governor Holder, looks like she's leapfrogging over Bernie Sanders as a competitor and going straight at Trump. She's winning a lot of states. In fact, she swept last Tuesday night. She put out this tweet, and in essence, she said, Donald Trump isn't who we are. If you see bigotry, violence, stop it. If you see a bully, stand up to him. Can she get Sanders voters to jump to her side if it doesn't look like Bernie can do it so that they take on Donald Trump? Or do Sanders voters like some of what Donald Trump's message has to say?
No, I think she'll be able to attract the Sanders voters and supporters because I think there's been much more unity within the Democratic Party between the two of them than we've seen in the Republican Party. And I think with the other big story that's occurring today in Europe, in Belgium and France, it's critical that the next president of the United States be able to talk to leaders around the world on crises like this so they can work together. And that's the reason I think Hillary Clinton will be an extremely strong candidate going into the fall election, because she's been a Secretary of State. She's been in the White House when her husband was president. She can deal with these circumstances, and the key to our success as a nation, both globally and economically, is that we have leadership in this country that can work with leaders around the world for all of our benefit and safety.
Who on the Republican side, Governor Heineman, can do something like that? Look, Ted Cruz has been a senator. Obviously, he's a first term. Governor Kasich was in Congress for many years. He's dealt with international leaders, and certainly those are names perhaps that might be more palatable. But if you start changing up the rules, you're going to have a whole lot of regular folks really unhappy, feeling that the power politics of the party just basically stole the vote. You know, if Donald Trump is the fastest runner, should he not be allowed to win?
Well, that's absolutely right, Liz. You can't change the rules in the middle of the game, so they better be careful about that. Now, on the other hand, I think the American people are looking for change. They're not satisfied with the Obama-Clinton foreign policy that's been adhered to the last 7 or 8 years. So there is going to be a real debate on that. But again, this election is going to come back to the economic issues. Talk to those voters in Michigan who went for Bernie Sanders because of the trade policy, where Bernie and Donald Trump are closer together. They want to make sure that jobs are going to stay here in America instead of going to China, Japan, and Mexico. That's what this election is going to be all about. Not that foreign policy isn't important, but this is going to be an election about the economy.
Listen, it's great to have you both. Former Governors Dave Heineman and Bob Holden. Welcome to the program, Governor Holden. I don't think I've had you on the show before, at least, so thank you so much for joining us.
Well, no, I appreciate it, and I agree with Dave. I hope this election is about the economy, because you look at what happened in the 92 to 2000 and how well this country did under a Democratic president. You look what's happened to this economy that Obama had to take over and where he's taken it. I'll be very happy to have Hillary Clinton in the White House making those decisions.
Well, and Republicans would say go back to Ronald Reagan, who had a very good economy, too. So we shall see. We'll have you both back. Thank you both so much. Good to see you, Governor Heineman, as well.
Thank you very much.